Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayana. Hari Om and greetings from Niagara Falls. Many years ago, I was teaching Tattva Bodha in Toronto. This was to a group of young adults. And during one of the classes, someone who's newer to Vedanta, to self-development, she had told me that I had completely destroyed her idea of God, of Bhagwan. And she shared this in an accusatory way, in a vulnerable way. My response to her was, perhaps I did, perhaps this text did, but understand this is a good thing, because this destruction has happened in a supportive environment where your understanding, your relationship with God will now be built much stronger, much clearer. Imagine your idea and relationship with God was broken on the street, where there was no support. Then what would you do? The same should be happening with our understanding and relationship with the mind. All that we've felt the mind is, all that we've thought the mind is, all of this should be changing. In Shloka 18, Sri Ramana is continuing to dissect the mind. And I'll give you a chart to visualize, to think about. In our lives, we go about living like we are the mind. And then Sri Ramana says, inquire, what is the mind? And our initial response to that, what is the mind? Thoughts. Pujya Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda, describes the mind as a flow of thoughts. So mind is thoughts. The inquiry continues. What are thoughts? What are vrittis? The thoughts, plural, are actually just two thoughts. There is the aham vritti, the I thought, and the idam vritti, the this thought. Yes? What are thoughts? I and this. And here, so we're clear, I is a small I, not a capital I. A relative I, not an absolute I. The next question would be, what is I and this? What is the reality of the aham vritti and the idam vritti? And our inquiry showed us that the idam vritti depends on the aham vritti. That this thought depends on the I thought, and dependence shows lack of reality. So in actuality, there's only the I thought. What is the I thought and this thought? There is only the I thought. Again, small I. And now what we will do in this shloka and beyond, what is the I thought? What is this small I? And the reason we're studying this text is because we know intellectually, we want to feel that the answer is There is only I. That's that capital I that is absolute, that is existence, that is awareness. You saw the flow. Mind, thoughts, I this, I, and finally, just I. We're on shloka 19. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvataha. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvataha. Aipatatyaham nijavicharanam. Aipatatyaham nijavicharanam. Vicharanam. Nice word. Sri Ramana says, Ayam aham. This aham. Kutaha. In other words, where did this I come from? What is the source of this I? The inquiry continues. This is shared in the first quarter. How many of you have kids that are younger than high school right now? Okay. How many of you go on road trips with them? What is a mahavakya that comes out of your child's mouth when they're on a road trip with you? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know, we have a Brahmakara vritti, which is aham brahmasmi, and we keep saying it until we're Brahman. Those kids keep saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And when you are there, do they still say, are we there yet? It stops, correct? So Sri Ramana is saying that where? If there's a where, that means that we're not at the deepest level. We are not who we actually are. There is not a sense of absoluteness that is tuned into yet. If you can go deeper, you're still relative. So where does this I come from? And we'll take this very deeply. Existence awareness, which is the absolute I, which is Atman. Why does it express as that small I? Why does this happen? Why is it that the absolute I expresses as a relative I? Sri Ramana is saying, where does this come from? Fine, we're going to go to the absolute I, but why does this even happen? He shares in the second quarter, bhavati chinvataha. When we reflect, when we engage in mananam, we come to appreciate that the I think I am has come from somewhere, has risen from somewhere. This small I, what is the general word we use in the world for this small I? It's called ego. Ego. I had shared earlier that all of the equipments we have, they're created extrovert and they engage in certain verbs. Let's see if you remember these. When the body is extrovert, what is it ever doing? Interacting. An extrovert body is ever interacting. What does the extrovert breath do? Ever inputting. Not just your breath, but eating, digesting, being active. The extrovert mind, interpreting. This person said this person didn't say this. What does the extrovert intellect do? Instructs. We keep on having anxieties of the future. And what does the extrovert ego, and there's no such thing as an introvert ego. The ego itself is by nature extrovert. What does it ever do? It identifies with these equipments. That's all it does. The ego simply identifies. The ego simply bosses around these equipments. The ego identifies with equipments, and then the ego feels, I do. I did, I will do. All about doing. Another word for this is becoming. The ego gets us trapped in becoming. It pushes us away from being. And wherever there's doership, what feeling comes next? Deservership. Deservership. Expressions of deservership is recognition, appreciation, reciprocity. I forgave you, how come you don't forgive me? Those kind of notions. So when we reflect, we come to this understanding and appreciation that when I say I, or when I say I, or I type I, that this is just the ego that's identifying with these equipments as the doer, as the deserver. Thinking about this relationship between doership and deservership some more, I remember Swamini Vimalananda telling us that if you have a image, then you need to protect that image. But if you don't have that image, you don't need to protect it, correct? If I have an image that I'm a tough guy, or I have an image that I'm charismatic, or I'm cool, whatever verb or adjective you want to use, if I have that image, I always have to protect that image, right? See how that doership creates that deservership. And then you just get tired. And once that image is not protected, one's so overwhelmed that you just keep on falling. This ego is really like Vali. Whoever comes in front of Vali, what happens to their strength? Half of it goes to Vali, correct? Very much so. Which is why Bhagwan Rama has to be behind Vali. For us, we have to inquire, what is behind this small I? What is behind this ego? And Sri Ramana now says, Ai. What does Ai mean? Ai is this expression of love. Like, when people say, hey Rama, or some people say Papam. I don't really know what the context of that means. I think it means something bad that has happened, but they're saying it in a lovely way. This Ai, I'll give you an example of this. So I'm reading some Amar Chitrakathas to Vyasa, and right now I'm on a book called Shiva and Sati. Sati Devi was reborn as Parvati Devi, the daughter of Parvata, the daughter of the mountain. And she already had a samskara, she already had this blueprint to be totally committed to Bhagwan Shiva. So as soon as she was born, as soon as she was aware of herself, she started to engage in sadhana for the sadhya. She started to engage in practices to bring her to Bhagwan Shiva's attention. As she was engaged in this sadhana, at one point, she stopped eating leaves. She stopped eating leaves. Leaves in Sanskrit is called parna. And when you stop eating leaves, you're called aparna. She stopped eating leaves also. She just stopped eating. And when her mother came to see the intensity of her sadhana, she started saying, "Ooh, ma, ooh, ma." Oo means like ow, and ma means stop or don't. Like she was feeling so much pain just watching her daughter. And so she's saying, ooh, ma, out of love, isn't it? Just like here, Sri Ramana is saying, ai. Remember I told you to say bho whenever whenever something intense happens. Oh, bho. Now I want you to say ai. Ai, if you follow what I'm teaching, Sri Ramana is saying that aham will experience patati. That I, that ego that rises, all that rises will fall. Patati means to fall. Vichara, that word is coming. Another word for vichara is tapa, isn't it? When you engage in tapa, you stop pata. Pata means to fall. Tapa is a way for us to grow that small I to realize that the absolute nature is that capital I. That behind the ego is existence, awareness. The methodology for all of this is vichara. Do you remember what I shared with all of you in regards to the root for vichara? Vichara comes from the base, vich, which means to sort, which means to filter. A similar word is viveka. Viveka means to prioritize, to discriminate. Vichara. And now there's a special word there, nija. Where have you seen or heard this word nija before? Hanuman Chalisa. I'm impressed by Niagara Falls for the first time. Then we say, Nija mana mukura sudhari. Nija mana. Mana means mind. Whose mind? Nija means my mind. Nija, another word for this in Sanskrit is sva. Sva, like svadhyaya. It is studying oneself. It's a chapter on oneself for one to engage in reflection on who am I? Who am I? Now that we have some doors closed, some doors are closed. If I'm following along with Sri Ramana's train of thought, I am not the mind. I am not the thoughts. I am not the I thought and this thought. I am not the I thought. Yes, all of those doors are closed. Mind, thoughts, I this, I. These are all closed. There's only 5 doors, and 4 are closed. Now what do? You clearly, with conviction and confidence, walk in to that open door. That small I that rises, when this falls, it will fall into the I that never changes, that never rises or falls, the existence awareness. The implication of this is, I will not go back to my default. I'll explain some more. When I don't know something, I always go back to the default of what I'm comfortable with. I don't know that I'm infinite, so my default is go back to that finite. This is my body, this is my name. Yes? But if the default has now been closed, if the default has been changed, that shows that I'm coming to know who I am. I'll give you one more live example of this. A real gauge of what our default is when we're not feeling well. When you're physically not well, you will come to know who you really are. Just like Duryodhana, in that moment of high tension, he starts insulting Acharya Bhishma, Acharya Drona, he never really respected them. Or perhaps he respected them, but he never loved them. He starts criticizing them. When we're physically not well, what happens to our sadhana? What happens to our cheer? Right now, Vyasa has a fever, and some of us were having a meal with him, and he kept on looking around, and when he says hi, he waves to himself. It's pretty pretty interesting. He'll say hi to you, but wave to himself. His cheer never changes, and I thought that's such a. I hope he's always like that, or he'll become like me, where when you become sick, then your sadhana stops and you become cranky. That default, for him, his default is cheer. Correct? Our default becomes being cranky. His default is less limits. Our default is more limits. Have to internalize neti. Na iti. Na iti. I am not mine, thoughts, I, this, I. And when all of that neti is in place, that iti was always there. In Atma Shataka, na muktihi. I don't need muktihi because na bandha. Perfect. These teachings are perfect for perfection. Let's chant. Yes, I remembered. Together. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvataha aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. Narayana.